صحاب السعادة، السيدات والسادة، يسرنا أن أفتتح اليوم هذا الحدث الجانبي بشأن من كوبنهاغن إلى الدوحة، النهوض بخطة التنمية الاجتماعية العالمية المنظم من قبل دولة قطر، ونرحب بجميع المشاركين في هذا الحدث الهام. وأود أن أدلي الآن كلمتي الافتتاحية. يسعدني أن أشارك في هذه المناسبة الجانبية وما تشكله من فرص لتسليط الضوء على الإنجازات والتحديات في مجال التنمية الاجتماعية منذ مؤتمر القمة العالمي الأول للتنمية الاجتماعية الذي عقد في كوبنهاغن عام 1995، ولمناقشة توقعاتنا ونحن نتجه نحو مؤتمر القمة العالمي الثاني للتنمية الاجتماعية المقرر عقده في الدوحة في شهر نوفمبر من العام الحالي. وفي هذا الصدد أود أن أعرب عن خالص تقديرنا لسعادة الشيخة عليا بن أحمد بن سيف الثاني، المندوب الدائم لدولة قطر لدى الأمم المتحدة، على تنظيم هذه المناسبة وعقد هذه المناقشات البالغة الأهمية. لقد أرست قمة كوبنهاغن وإعلانها السياسي الأسس للتنمية الاجتماعية من خلال 3 أهداف رئيسية تتمثل في القضاء على الفقر وتعزيز العمالة المنتجة وتشجيع الإدماج الاجتماعي. وقد أبرزت هذه الركائز الحاجة إلى مقاربة شاملة تدمج الأبعاد الاقتصادية والسياسية والاجتماعية والثقافية، مع التركيز بشكل خاص على التعليم والرعاية الصحية للجميع باعتبارها عاملين رئيسيين تمكنهم لتحقيق التنمية المستدامة الشاملة للجميع. إن مؤتمر القمة العالمي الثاني للتنمية الاجتماعية الذي سينعقد في الدوحة يتيح فرصة فريدة للمجتمع الدولي لإعادة التأكيد على هذه الالتزامات والعمل على تنفيذها، ويشكل أيضاً فرصة لإظهار التضامن العالمي وتعزيز العدالة الاجتماعية والتعجيل في التقدم نحو تنفيذ خطة التنمية المستدامة لعام 2030. وأنه لشرف كبير لدولة قطر أن تختار الجمعية العامة للأمم المتحدة الدوحة لتكون المدينة المستضيفة لهذه القمة. ونؤكد في هذا الصدد بأن حكومة دولة قطر وشعبها ملتزمان التزاما تاما بضمان نجاح القمة في كافة الجوانب. ونتطلع إلى الترحيب بجميع المشاركين في الدوحة في هذا الحدث البالغ الأهمية، وما سيشكله من فرص دافعة للمضي قدما في إحراز تقدم ملموس في ميادين التنمية الاجتماعية. وبالنسبة لدولة قطر، فإن استضافة مؤتمر القمة العالمي الثاني للتنمية الاجتماعية تشكل أهمية كبيرة، فسيتيح مؤتمر القمة فرصة لاستعراض المسارات التي قطعناها في النهوض بالتنمية الاجتماعية الشاملة والمستدامة، واسترشادا برؤية قطر الوطنية 2030 واستراتيجيتها التنمية الوطنية، وآخرها استراتيجية التنمية الوطنية لدولة قطر للفترة من 2024 حتى 2030. فإننا ما زلنا على التزام بتحقيق توازن بين النمو الاقتصادي والتنمية البشرية والاجتماعية المتينة. وفي صلب هذه الرؤية يكمن الالتزام بتوفير التعليم الجيد والرعاية الصحية للجميع، فضلاً عن شبكة دعم اجتماعية معززة تشمل الرعاية الاجتماعية الشاملة وتدابير الحماية الاجتماعية والإدماج الاجتماعي والاقتصادي للفئات الضعيفة، بما يضمن عدم تخلف أحد عن الركب. وتركز دولة قطر بشكل خاص على دعم الأسر والمسنين والأشخاص ذوي الإعاقة والفئات المهمشة على نحو يكفل حصول جميع كل أفراد المجتمع على فرص النمو والرفاه. أصحاب السعادة، لقد اتخذت دولة قطر إجراءات طموحة لمواصلة الاستثمار في مستقبل الشباب وتمكينهم وتوفير الفرص لهم وتزويدهم بالأدوار التي تتيح لهم المشاركة بشكل فعال في مجتمعاتهم، كما اتخذت مسألة النهوض بوضع المرأة حيزاً هاماً في قمة كافة الأولويات في دولة قطر، وتولي اهتماماً خاصاً لتعزيز مشاركتها على قدم المساواة في كافة مناحي الحياة، ودورها كعنصر أساسي في النمو الاقتصادي وفي جهود التنمية المستدامة للدولة، تماشياً مع رؤية قطر الوطنية 2030. كما تواصل دولة قطر الاستثمار في مجال التعليم والتدريب المهني، وبما يساهم في تمكين الأفراد من الحصول على المهارات اللازمة والعمالة المنتجة واللائقة، وضمان تكافؤ فرص العمل للجميع. وننوه بأن دولة قطر تثمن الدور الهام للعمالة الوافدة في دولة قطر، وتنظر إليها بوصفها طاقة منتجة وعنصر هام في تعزيز تحقيق التنمية المستدامة. واتخذت العديد من الإجراءات التي تكفل حماية وتعزيز حقوق الإنسان للعمالة الوافدة وتحسين مستوى المعيشة وتوفير الحياة الكريمة. تشكل الأسرة دوراً حيوياً في المجتمعات وتمكينها في كافة الأصعدة، خاصة لدولة قطر التي اتخذت العديد من الإجراءات لتعزيز البرامج والسياسات التي تركز على الأسرة. وتواصل دولة قطر جهودها لتقوية الأسرة لأنها اللبنة الأساسية في قوة المجتمعات واستقرارها، ويمثل بناء وتعزيز أسرة قوية ومتماسكة حجر الأساس للمجتمع التي تستهدفه رؤية قطر الوطنية 2030. وتركز استراتيجية التنمية الوطنية الثالثة لدولة قطر من بين أمورها تعزيز القيم الدينية والثقافية والأخلاقية ضمن الأسر. في الوقت التي نتطلع فيه إلى انعقاد مؤتمر القمة العالمية الثانية للتنمية الاجتماعية في الدوحة، فإننا على ثقة بأن دولة قطر لديها من الخبرات وأفضل الممارسات والسياسات المبتكرة لمشاطرتها مع المجتمع الدولي. ونتطلع بأن تكون هذه القمة بمثابة حافز لتجديد الالتزام العالمي بتعزيز التنمية الاجتماعية، وذلك من خلال مشاركة الحكومات والمنظمات الدولية والمجتمع المدني من أجل رسم ملامح مستقبل أكثر شمولاً وازدهاراً لدى الجميع. وشكراً لحسن استماعكم، ونعطي الكلمة الآن إلى السيد لي غونها، وكيل الأمين العام للشؤون الاقتصادية والاجتماعية للأمم المتحدة، فليتفضل مشكور.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, Excellencies, distinguished guests, dear colleagues, it is a pleasure to address this important event from Copenhagen to Doha. I thank the permanent mission of Qatar for organizing this crucial discussion for us to come together and generate actionable ideas for the Second World Summit for Social Development. The Copenhagen Declaration on Social Development and its program of action established a path-breaking consensus for people-centered development, a vision reaffirmed in the 2030 Agenda. Since Copenhagen, we have made impressive progress on social development, but we still face deep inequalities, economic uncertainties, and cascading effects of the climate change, conflict, and the pandemics. These challenges are a sobering reminder: social development should not be an afterthought. It is the foundation for peace, economic prosperity, and resilience. The Second World Summit offers a very unique and important opportunity for us to assess progress, identify gaps, and chart the course for the accelerated social progress. As we engage in today's discussion, let us be guided by this central question: how can we move beyond the promises to deliver real, tangible results for all people? Please allow me to shape the two key points. First, we need integrated whole-of-the-government approaches that prioritize the social investments, ensuring the coherence between social and economic policies. Poverty eradication, for example, demands the equitable access to essential services and economic opportunities. This means broadening social protection coverage, ensuring the universal health coverage and quality education, providing affordable housing, and reforming ineffective and unfair tax policies. Second, our policy frameworks must be anchored in a commitment to inclusion, social justice, and solidarity, and must seek to safeguard social progress. Achieving full employment and decent work, for example, requires an inclusive labor market. Strengthening workers' rights and preparing for the future work in a digital and AI-driven world. I'm confident that our discussion here today will identify the result-driven solutions to generate the momentum for an ambitious and successful summit in Doha in coming months. Thank you for your attention.
نشكر وكيل العام للشؤون الاقتصادية والاجتماعية للأمم المتحدة على مداخلته القيمة. وأعطي الآن الكلمة لسعادة السيد لوك بهادور نائب رئيس المجلس الاقتصادي والاجتماعي.
Thank you. USG Lee Chinhua, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to join you today on behalf of His Excellency, Bob Ray, the President of ECOSOC, and on my own. I wish to take this opportunity to thank the Permanent Mission of Qatar for organizing this great event from Copenhagen to Doha. I should also take this opportunity to thank the government of Qatar for hosting the Second World Social Summit in November this year, as well as for initiating this important dialogue on the actions and tangible outcomes that the Second World Summit for Social Development must deliver. Excellencies, I would like to start our discussion by emphasizing the legacy of Copenhagen, which continues to guide us today. At this first World Summit for Social Development in 1995, member states committed to placing people at the center of the development. They enshrined a vision of social development that is underpinned by social justice, equality, and participation. This ambitious and innovative understanding of social development is at the heart of the 2030 Agenda and its pledge to leave no one behind. 30 years after the Copenhagen, we are faced with significant global transformations. Long-term trends, including the demographic transition and the digital transformation, interact with multiple crises such as rising conflicts and climate change to challenge our collective ability to deliver on the social dimension of social development. Last year, when adopting the Pact for the Future, member states addressed these challenges head-on by pledging a new beginning for multilateralism with sustainable development in all its three dimensions as a central objective. Among the many commitments, the Pact reaffirmed member states' commitment to invest in people and to end poverty, address inequalities, improve the lives and livelihoods of people, strengthen trust and social cohesion, and build peaceful, just, and inclusive societies. And it also anticipated an ambitious outcome at the Second World Summit for Social Development. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, the upcoming summit represents a unique opportunity to deliver on these promises for people everywhere. In Doha, member states will have the chance to adopt concrete, ambitious commitments to step up investment to end poverty, reduce inequality, and leaving no one behind. To be effective, this commitment must be supported by well-designed follow-up and must deliver actions and policies that positively impact the lives of the people. This is by no means simple. That is why we are here today to come together and lay the groundwork to the summit. The sessions of the Commission for Social Development, the fourth Conference on Financing for Development in June, and the high-level political forum on sustainable development in July will all be crucial occasions for member states and other stakeholders to guide the way forward. I invite you all to bring to this journey your ambitions and determinations towards a better future for all. I thank you.
نشكر نائب رئيس المجلس الاقتصادي والاجتماعي على بيانه، وأعطي الكلمة الآن إلى سعادة كريستوف ماريا رئيس الدورة 63 لجنة التنمية الاجتماعية. تفضل مشكورا.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Excellencies, I would start by, of course, expressing my due thanks to the mission of Qatar for inviting me and for organizing this important event. As a chair of the CSocD at its 63rd session, of course, I should start by saying that advancing the global social development agenda is at the core of the work of the Commission and is our top priority also for this year's deliberations. Let me say that, of course, when the first World Summit for Social Development in Copenhagen in 1995, of course, was a crucial step in defining fundamental principles for the social development agenda. And that time, Poland, my home country, was still ongoing the major social and economic transformation, for which the decisions and the commitments made in the outcomes of the Copenhagen Summit were a kind of inspiration. But if you compare Poland in 1995 to Poland in 2025, 30 years later, then you see how much the world has changed since that. And you think of your own countries, how much your countries has changed since 1995. And that shows perfectly that it's the high time for us to meet again and to think about the current situation and our current challenges for the way to the social development and to the social development agenda. In that context, I believe there are 3 points that are important for the way to Doha and for the Doha Summit itself. First, what we need is to reaffirm, renew, and review our commitment to build up inclusive, resilient, and sustainable societies. I think it's really we have to reaffirm our own societies, our own citizens, that we stick to these principles, but we review them and we renew our commitment that made 30 years ago. In heart of it, it should be social dialogue that should be emphasized, and building trust, inclusive economic growth, advancing social justice, and building up the way for more peace and stability in the world. All that should be done, of course, anchored in the human rights and fundamental principles and rights at work. Secondly, what the Doha Summit, the World Social Summit in Qatar, should be focusing on is, of course, to sharing the successful policies and programs. I think, as I said, we made a long way from 1995, and it's good to have a chance and platform to learn from each other and adopt best practices among ourselves, the peer review. And thirdly, I think we have to address the new challenges that emerged since 1995. Whether this is the climate change or is it advancing the new technologies, all that actually, and all the health crisis that we went through, all that actually impacted very much our societies. I think we have to address them and make a new commitment and make a new consensual decisions, consensual commitment to make our advancing the social development vis-a-vis these new challenges, and we can only do it, of course, in the partnership and the dialogue with all the stakeholders involved. So I wish you today the fruitful deliberation, and I hope to hear the ideas in the panel discussions, and I'm sure that the World Social Summit in Qatar will deliver actionable and transformative outcomes on poverty reduction, decent work for all, social integration, social cohesion, and solidarity. Thank you so much.
شكرا سعادة رئيس الدورة 63 لجنة التنمية الاجتماعية على بيانه. وأعطي الكلمة الآن لسعادة السيدة صوفي جانغ التي ستتحدث نيابة عن المؤثران والمشاركان لطرائف ونتائج عمليات المشاورات غير الحكومية المؤدية لمؤتمر القمة العالمية الثاني للتنمية الاجتماعية في عام 2025. فلتتفضل مشكورة.
Thank you very much. Excellencies, Mr. Undersecretary General, Mr. Assistant Undersecretary, esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of my co-facilitator, Ambassador Hilal, and myself, I would like to thank Qatar for organizing this side event. As co-facilitators for the process leading up to the Social Summit to be held in Doha in November of this year, we are really honored to be here. Ambassador Hilal and myself will facilitate the intergovernmental negotiation process of the outcome document over the next few months. We will do this in an open, inclusive, and transparent manner to deliver a concise, action-oriented, and consensual political declaration. We have started our work, and we have also put everyone else to work: member states, EU and DESA, and relevant stakeholders and civil society. Member states have been asked to provide input, on the basis of which we will prepare a food for thought paper that will be followed by a zero draft. Member states have been asked to focus their input on the main substantive elements of the political declaration as well as on its structure. UNDESA is doing a tremendous job coordinating the preparatory work of the United Nations system. And last but not least, I would like to mention the relevant stakeholders and civil society. We are engaging with them and will continue to do so in the coming weeks and months. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, 30 years after the world leaders gathered in Copenhagen, we owe it to the world to show ambition on the road towards Doha. The first World Summit for Social Development was a milestone in the multilateral system. It was a global commitment to social development that still resonates today. It underscored the fundamental importance of placing people at the center of development, and it established a comprehensive agenda to combat poverty, promote full employment, and foster social integration. Since Copenhagen, there has been significant progress in, for instance, poverty reduction, education, gender equality, healthcare access, and social protection. Nonetheless, the job is not finished, and we must not be complacent. Too many people are still left behind. The COVID-19 pandemic laid bare vulnerabilities and inequalities. Extreme poverty remains. There are not enough decent jobs, inequalities persist, and 4 billion people still don't benefit from social protection. The summit in Qatar will offer a pivotal moment to look where we stand, but also where we want to go and how to get there. We are here today to prepare that summit and to work for a better future. The Copenhagen Declaration on Social Development and the 2030 Agenda are our beacons, and we will also take into account the new opportunities and challenges of the world today that were less or that were not there 30 years ago. We want an ambitious outcome. In a world increasingly marked by turmoil, economic crisis, social inequalities, and climate shocks, the need for advancing and prioritizing social development remains as relevant and as urgent as ever before. Today, we are here to listen to you, to all the participants' views, and the Moroccan-Belgian team of co-facilitators is committed to achieve a successful and meaningful summit in Doha, and we are very much looking forward to the journey with all of you. Thank you.
نشكر سعادة السيدة صوفي على بيانها، ونعطي الآن الكلمة للبروفيسور السيد دانييل، مدير شؤون المنظمات الدولية ودراسات الأمم المتحدة في جامعة كولومبيا لتسيير وإدارة الحوارات. فلتفضل مشكورا.
Thank you so much. I think we'll now transition to the second panel. So I thank everybody from our opening panel and the mission of Qatar. Please join me in thanking the first panel while we switch to the second panel. Please be seated. Okay. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, everybody in the room, my name is Daniel Naujoks, and it's my pleasure to moderate this second panel. We have two panels, two deep dives in which we elaborate on some of the issues that our colleagues from the opening panel have elaborated. I've worked for 25 years. I started 25 years ago on homelessness issues, and the last 20 years I have worked on human development, sustainable development, economic the issues, mostly on migration and refugees. A lot of these issues are key for understanding social development and some of these issues, especially employment, social exclusion, and poverty issues that are being discussed at the World Summit in November. We heard already that some of the big agendas of this year and last year we had the Summit of the Future and the Pact for the Future. This year we have the Financing for Development Conference, the next high-level political forum, many different important aspects. We have to think about how the Agenda 2030 and the rest of the time that remains to implement and achieve the SDGs is connected to social development, and how the new agenda for social development can connect to that. And to what extent is the post-2030 agenda already has to be, the seeds have to be sown, for example, at the summit. We have our panelists have 3 minutes each, and I encourage everybody to stick within the time limit, because we would like to open the floor after these two deep dives to open the floor to everybody here in the room. A question that our panelists will address, the key question is, what specific measures should be prioritized to ensure that the summit delivers actionable and transformative outcomes on poverty reduction, decent work for all, and social integration? Critics of global summits often say, well, they come with nice political declarations and outcome documents with big affirmations about concepts, but what are the actual outcomes, right? The Undersecretary General just mentioned a few minutes ago that we need to go beyond promises. We need to really reach tangible results. So I would encourage our panelists to really highlight actionable ideas that the summit can achieve, and there is political consensus and a little bit of dreaming about what we can achieve collectively. Without further ado, I am honored to introduce our first speaker, is Ambassador Mohammed Saeed Mejid Massouk, who's the chair of the G77 plus China and deputy permanent representative of the Republic of Iraq to the UN. Mr. Marzouk, you have the floor.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to thank Permanent Mission of Qatar for organizing this timely and important event and for extending an invitation to Iraq to deliver these remarks on behalf of the group of G77 and China. I wish also to express thanks to the government of the state of Qatar for its continued contribution to driving the social development agenda. As we sit on the margins of the 63rd session of the Commission for Social Development and look forward to the forthcoming Second World Summit for Social Development, it's difficult not to notice the very concerning and challenging global environment, where poverty and hunger are increasing, the devastating negative impacts of climate change are taking a toll on people's well-being, social protection, livelihood, and development aspirations. Therefore, the summit's political declaration should be a concise, action-oriented declaration that sets out a plan of action that we should commit to achieve and which places people at the center of development and gives momentum to the implementation of the 2030 agenda. Also, the United Nations system, especially the specialized agencies, funds, programs, and regional commissions, have to ramp up their contribution to advancing social development. We must continue to advocate for development that is inclusive and benefit all peoples, while respecting the development paths chosen by individual countries, respecting the right for all countries to equal participation in international affairs and to development, the need to address development concerns of developing countries with concrete actions and reduce inequality among and within countries, leaving no country and no person behind. A true reform of the international financial architecture and institutions is urgent and long overdue if there is a true commitment to advance social and economic development efforts worldwide. We believe that international development cooperation, North-South, South-South, and Triangle cooperation remain a catalyst to fulfilling social development objectives. The international community and development partners have a pivotal role to play in collaborating with and supporting developing countries in implementing their social development agenda. The group underscores that many developing countries will be not able to advance in social development efforts while they face unilateral coercive measures, contrary to international law, which have a direct and negative impact on the well-being of their populations. The group highlights the importance of family-oriented policies and programs as tools for inter alia fighting poverty, social exclusion, and inequality, promoting work-family balance, and the empowerment of women and girls, and advancing social integration and intergenerational solidarity to support the implementation of the 2030 agenda. The group recognized the essential contribution of elderly persons, youth, and persons with disabilities to our societies. Therefore, we must ensure the mainstreaming of their challenges and priorities into our strategies to foster an environment that secures their dignity and human rights and keeps them as equal stakeholders in advancing social development. We are confident that we are ready in the forthcoming conferences and processes to lay out solid and well-financed plans to ensure that together we tackle the scourges of today so that we can build a future where social development is not merely an inspiration but a tangible reality for all. Thank you, and I wish you a successful event.
I thank the chair of the G77 and China for the statement, and now invite Mr. Mario Nava, who is Director General of the European
Thank you very much, everybody. I believe the debate till now has shown a sort of consensus around three things that we need to do. One is to recommit, the other is to close gaps, and the third is to look at the new things. On recommit, I believe there is quite a consensus on the fact that, and Secretary General Gutierrez also said it in 2021, and Director General Ungbo re-mentioned it last year. Closing gap is probably the most difficult thing to do, and it's probably the one where your actionable measures could come. Our view is that in order to close gaps, what is necessary here is to put at the center of the agenda both the so-called active rights to employment and to skills and to all the measures that help to move out of poverty, help to eradicate poverty, help to have a job, and also the passive rights to it, so the issue of social security. When it comes to active right, what is central for us is, of course, international labor standards, and what is central for us is the guarantee of the fundamental principle and rights at work, exactly as they have been defined by the ILO. To us, that is clearly the starting point. From there, we can definitely start work. That means providing fair wages, adequate minimum wage, tackle informal job. As for the passive rights, as it has been recalled, for us what matters a lot is the ensure adequate social protection, reduce inequalities in all forms with the intersecting and different forms of discrimination, ensure an accessible and adequate healthcare, and of course the issue of housing. Housing, or lack of housing rather, is probably the most extreme form of poverty and the one that really needs to be eradicated. In this context, of course, state has a big role to play, but not only. We need responsible business contact. We need, as it has been said many times, all the social partners to intervene. We need actually what is called a whole of government and a whole of society approach. And then it comes the third point, which is the new challenges, the challenges that we didn't see coming in 1995. Let me mention two, probably the biggest one. One is the green and digital transition, which destroys some jobs, creates new jobs, and actually which connects very much with the active rights that I said about the rights of receiving a good education and being skilled and being able to pass. And the other priority is, of course, the demographic challenges. The demographic structure between 1995 and today has changed dramatically, in particular in the global north, where the most numerous cohort of 95, 30 years ago, has remained the most numerous cohort. Only problem is that it was 25, 30 years ago, and it is 55 today. Thank you.
Thank you for your statement. We now move to His Excellency Mr. Adil Çalışkan, Deputy Minister of Family and Social Services, Republic of Turkey. Hoş geldiniz.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, as we reflect on the journey from Copenhagen to Doha, one thing remains as true today as it was in 1995. Social development is not sustainable without inclusion, equity, and resilience. The second World Summit for Social Development in Doha offers a change to update the commitments made in Copenhagen, ensuring our policies address current challenges and no one is left behind. Turkey knows that economic growth is not alone not enough. It must be together with social justice, equality between women and men, and investment in human capital. There are two principles at the core of our national policies that I would like to mention it. First principle is the poverty eradication through inclusive socio-economic policies. Turkey has expanded targeted social protection programs to ensure the groups in need, especially women, children, elder persons, and persons with disabilities, have equal access to opportunities. Investment in education, vocational training, and digital literacy have empowered millions to break the cycle of poverty and become active contributors to society. Our barrier-free vision, aging vision, set out a roadmap for building an inclusive society where no one is included due to disability or age. Our child rights strategy document and action plan outlines comprehensive policies to protect children's rights and change and enhance their well-being and ensuring that every child has the opportunity to grow in a safe society. Our women empowerment strategy document and action plan includes policies on education, employment, digital transformation, and environmental sustainability, ensuring that women play an active role in shaping the future. A society that excludes parts of its population from economic and social life cannot fully develop. Honorable representatives. Second principle that I want to mention is strengthening families as pillars of social choice. Families are backbone of religious societies. Turkey has implemented policies that support intergenerational solidarity, parental leave, and work-life balance to foster strong family structure. We recognize that sustainable demographic future depend on well-supported families. That is, Turkey has focused on family-friendly policies that addresses challenges related to low birth rates, population aging, and economic stability. Turkey strongly believes that protecting and empowering families is the key to long-term social stability and prosperity. Respected colleagues, the upcoming Doha summit will be an important platform to ensure everyone's voice is heard in shaping global policies, encourage teamwork between governments, civil society, and business to find lasting solutions, strengthen international partnerships to tackle growing social and economic challenges. As we approach Doha, we must confirm our shared vision where no family is deprived of support and stability needed to prosper and contribute to society. No child grows up in poverty or without access to education. No woman is denied for opportunities in leadership and economic participation. No one is left behind due to demographic, economic, and social problems. By building on legacy of Copenhagen and embracing the opportunities of Doha, we can ensure a future that is inclusive, equitable, and sustainable for all. Wars leave behind devastation, claiming countless lives and forcing millions from their homes. The tragedies in Gaza, Syria, serve as important reminders of human suffering and displacements caused by conflict. True social development cannot be achieved while entire regions remain in conflict. Reconstruction is not about building cities. It is about restoring dignity, ensuring access to education and psychological support, and fostering stability. Now, it is time to move from word to action. Before I conclude my remarks, I would like to extend my pleasure to the government of Qatar for hosting upcoming second World Summit for Social Development. Your contribution on international stage will be met with deep gratitude. Your efforts in promoting global peace, human rights, and justice hold great significance not only for affected communities, but for all humanity. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Minister. Teşekkür ederim. We will now turn to Dr. Maimouna El Khalil, who is the Secretary General at the Family Affairs Council of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Dr. El Khalil.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to be part of the important conversation on what measures should be prioritized to ensure that the Second World Summit for Social Development held in Qatar late 2025 delivers actionable and transformative outcomes, particularly on poverty reduction, decent work for all, and social integration. In terms of poverty reduction, much can be gained from building social protection and social support and benefit strategies that are tailored to beneficiaries' needs and that put beneficiaries on a path to empowerment. In the case of Saudi Arabia, the cash transfer program called Assurance or Laman has been revamped to improve its targeting of the poor and the vulnerable and to accurately size support provisions with strong focus on empowerment, skill building, and job placement. In terms of decent work, a multidimensional and multi-sectoral approach is key. In the work and employment track in Saudi Arabia, there are currently over 42 sub-programs under the supervision of several government entities. These sub-programs include unemployment support, targeted wage support, training and skills development, professional mentoring and guidance, job alignment services, and job programs for vulnerable groups. In terms of social integration, not only should we align social care services and support programs for persons with disabilities with the United Nations Conventions on Rights for Persons with Disabilities, but innovation in service delivery and partnerships is encouraged. Saudi Arabia is supporting persons with disabilities, orphans, and the elderly through a service delivery model that is based on public-private partnerships that engage the non-governmental sector. Most importantly, we are implementing an integrated information system that will help beneficiaries know their rights and different programs available to them, and which services can help them to live a life with dignity and respect. Throughout all three priorities, we need to recognize the importance of investing in training, employing, and empowering women, as well as capitalize on the potential of fast-moving technological advancements which can facilitate service delivery and data collection. A noteworthy model that targets all the above, poverty reduction, decent work, social integration, as well as employs the latest technology, are the Tamkeen clinics recently launched in Saudi Arabia. These clinics are designed as a one-stop shop for beneficiaries in need. They link the dots between government, private, and non-government sectors. There are currently 7 pilot sites with state-of-the-art offices and even an avatar built on artificial intelligence that greets visitors and answers their questions. Inside these clinics, beneficiaries meet with case managers who listen to beneficiaries' needs and conduct a comprehensive 360 degrees approach. Together with a personalized action plan is developed. SMART objectives that address the unique challenges of each individual, including support for the family, such as childcare and employment opportunities for family members. What makes Tamkeen clinics unique is the recognition that people often face interconnected challenges. Whether it's housing, mental health, legal or financial literacy, Tamkeen clinics ensures that individuals receive holistic support to rebuild their lives. We thank Qatar for hosting the Second World Summit for Social Development and look forward to the ample opportunities it will offer for the sharing of expertise and technical assistance. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Al-Khalil. His Excellency Ambassador Osama Edelkhalik, who is head of Egypt's delegation to the Commission on Social Development and permanent representative of the Arab Republic of Egypt to the UN. Ambassador, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, distinguished moderator. I wish to thank dearly the mission of Qatar, my dear sister Ambassador Alia Galtani, and His Excellency Mr. Fahd Mohammed Al Khayarin, the Assistant Undersecretary, for inviting us for this very important signature event of the CSocD. As we commemorate the 30th anniversary of the Copenhagen Declaration and the Program of Action of the World Summit for Social Development, it is only timely, on the margin of the CSocD, the UN entity, mandated to review the implementation of the commitments made in Copenhagen to discuss what to expect from the great coming conference in social development, Summit of Social Development, Doha, November 2025. In this deep dive, we must be cognizant that Copenhagen has laid the foundations for and set the blueprint for the global social development agenda. Deeply diving into the declaration and the program of action demonstrates the continued relevance of the commitments made therein toward achieving the social development goals, eradicating poverty, providing productive employment and decent work for all, and social integration while placing people at the center of development. All those aspirations remain totally valid. Such goals are also reflected in the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda with its goals and targets, indicative that the global goals remain the same across time while facing immense global challenges in the implementation, bringing them into realities. The emerging and new global challenges entail that we take a fresh look at how to implement our collective commitments towards social development. As an example, the advent of and the proliferation of the use of digital technologies and platforms represent opportunities as well as they costs and provide risks. This requires comprehensive action towards governance, bridging the digital divides within and between countries and across sectors of society, involving women, youth, the elderly, persons with disability, and those most in need, especially people living in poverty and economic exclusion. We must assess and curb the potential risks of digital technologies to social cohesion. This is very important. And intergenerational solidarity, the impact of the family and the role of the family, I would say, and on children and youth as well. The changing job market, the threats to societal peace through the dissemination of negative values, hate speech, discrimination, and exclusion. This demonstrates that a single field can have cross-cutting impacts on social development. We must also be cognizant of the changing demographics, whereby the socioeconomic dimensions of aging, even in youthful societies, must be taken into consideration. We need to ask ourselves the question on how to mobilize and maximize the human potential of our societies to ensure social development and achieving the sustainable development goals for all, leaving no one behind. Doha is a perfect place and represents a wonderful opportunity to stocktake what we have achieved, where we have defaulted on our commitments, and to reinvigorate action toward their full implementation in line with Copenhagen spirit and toward the full achievement and implementation of the 2030 development agenda, the Sustainable Development Agenda. I do thank you, distinguished moderator, while expressing the proudness to sit with such a wonderful panel in that important deep dive. Thank you. Over to you, distinguished moderator.
Shukran, Ambassador. Thank you. Now we come to the last speaker on this panel. It's my privilege to give the floor to His Excellency Danilo Turk, who is the president of the Club de Madrid. Mr. Turk, the Club de Madrid has been an early proponent and staunch advocate for celebrating the upcoming Summit for Social Development. From the perspective of the Club de Madrid, how can the summit build on the legacy of Copenhagen while addressing today's interconnected crises and global challenges to foster inclusive, equitable, and sustainable development?
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to express our gratitude for the invitation to participate in this, as you said, deep dive panel. Deep dive sounds ominous, and let me try to exercise some of that deep dive idea. And let me say also, Club de Madrid is an organization of former democratic presidents, prime ministers, which means that we are people of a certain age and have gone through different phases of experience in life. In my own case, I was president of Slovenia, and before that I was permanent representative of Slovenia to the United Nations, actually negotiating the outcome document of Copenhagen Summit some 30 years ago in this room. This is where most of the negotiations were taking place before we went to Copenhagen to finalize the document. So with this perspective that I am speaking today, and I would like to kind of synthesize my views, responding to your question, Mr. Moderator, in 5 points. What should the Second World Social Summit achieve? First, I think it should strengthen the social mandate of the United Nations. The United Nations is dealing with many things, and sometimes the idea of social development is overshadowed by other priorities. So the idea to to recognize and strengthen the social mandate should be the guiding idea here. Secondly, it should focus on the role of governments in social development, and in that case, in that connection, that means the whole government approach. And we have heard Under Secretary General who spoke about that, the whole government, because social development comes as a result of many factors reaching beyond social policy, and the whole government has to be engaged in that. Many speakers today and on other similar occasions refer to new technologies. Clearly, new technologies are important in order to strengthen social development. Third, cooperative action. Social development requires an improved international cooperation, including in development financing. Now, there will be an important conference on financing for development in June this year, and I would suggest that in the preparation for the second summit for social development, effective work is done to make sure that there is progress in financing for development. This is not going to be easy. There are many countercurrents, but it is an important test of the ability of international community to move the agenda of social development forward. International cooperation, financing for development is of such importance that it has to progress in order to make social development a realistic vision. Fourth, another important question which hasn't been addressed so far in any serious manner is the fact that right now the world is finding itself at the threshold of a new arms race. And prioritizing social development over military spending would be an important thing. Is that possible? Is a message in that direction possible? Well, let us think about it. Now, we in Club de Madrid obviously are not going to negotiate the outcome document, but we would like you, the delegates, to think about this and figure out what should be the actual demand if we are serious about social development. Military spending should not overwhelm everything else. And finally, my fifth point is the second summit on social development should, in my opinion, develop a platform for continuous work of the United Nations. That, of course, has to do with the social mandate that I mentioned at the beginning, but it should be constructed in a manner that would require effective and continuous work of the United Nations in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, His Excellency, Your Excellency. This concludes our first deep dive panel. Please join me in thanking our panelists of the first panel for their very deep information. And we will now proceed to the second deep dive. Please stay with us. We have a lot of really good speakers, but very important insights that will further dive into social development and the preparations for the Summit for Social Development. Yes, with pleasure.
President, my name is Osama. You see, I'm the one facilitating.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let us proceed with a second panel. And again, our panelists generally will address what specific measures should be prioritized to ensure that the summit delivers actionable and transformative outcomes on poverty reduction, decent work for all, and social integration. It is my pleasure to give the floor first to His Excellency Mr. Olivier Mais, who is a permanent representative of the Grand Duchy of Luxembourg to the UN and head of the Luxembourg delegation to the Commission for Social Development. Ambassador, you have the floor.
Thank you very much for giving me the floor, and it's really an honor to be part of this event. I would like to thank Qatar for inviting Luxembourg to take part. Time is running a little bit short, so we have to do a deep dive and do a quick deep dive. So I'll do my best to bring also the contribution of Luxembourg for this World Social Summit. It will be really a crucial opportunity to show our unity and our collective commitment as United Nations together to advance social development. I want to mention one point that was not yet raised and which for us is really important, is to take a child-sensitive approach to social development. Indeed, children are amongst the most vulnerable groups, and it is essential that we protect them from harm and ensure their access to quality education, access also to quality health services and social protection. To this day, and unfortunately the trend is not positive, we see more and more children that are forced into labor instead of enjoying their right to education. The COVID-19 pandemic has reinforced that negative trend, putting many children at risk or into labor due to increased poverty and vulnerability. And just yesterday, we had a meeting of the group of Friends of Children and the SDGs that Luxembourg is co-chairing with Bulgaria and Jamaica, where we focused on this SDG target 8.7, ending child labor in all its forms. And we really need to redouble our efforts to make sure that children can develop to their fullest potential. We as Luxembourg, we try also to support efforts in that respect in the area of development cooperation, supporting the International Labour Organization in its work, but we also work with our partners. For instance, in Africa, we are supporting Benin in a project that aims to combat child labor and trafficking by strengthening the enforcement of labor laws and enhancing community-based prevention mechanisms. So it's important to also work on these partnerships, in that case also with UNICEF, with the local authorities, to build institutional capacities to better protect children. So this is one area where we will want to focus, and we hope that at the World Social Summit in Doha in November, we can indeed have an outcome document that also clearly defines the actions to be taken, so that we go beyond just promises, but that we take also very concrete commitments and actions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ambassador. We now pass the floor to His Excellency Ambassador José Alberto Briz Gutierrez, who is the permanent representative of the Republic of Guatemala to the UN. Señor Embajador.
Thank you. Thank you very much for giving me the floor, and I would like to start by thanking Qatar for organizing this event. It is indeed an honor for Guatemala to be included in this launch event and be able to give some of the contributions to the process headed to the World Summit on Social Development. In trying to respond to the question that was posed to member states, I would like to start highlighting in general terms the importance of measures that promote the implementation of integral approaches to employment policy that allow the integration of macroeconomic, productivity, and social protection policies to government action with the objective of guaranteeing full, productive, and freely chosen employment. as well as just transition to environmentally sustainable societies. To this end, in Guatemala, we created a National Commission for Decent Employment, whose main objective is to integrate economic and social policies to generate decent and productive employment in the country. This initiative seeks to increase the levels of social inclusion and coordinate actions between the public and the private sectors. At the same time, this space will allow us to encourage job training, the promotion of employment and employability, the development of conditions to generate access and sustainability of decent employment, and the updating of the regulatory framework to promote the generation of decent jobs. Coming into more specific measures that for Guatemala should be given priority, I'll mention three, given the limited time. First, those aim at recognizing and integrating informal sector workers into the formal economy with legal protections and benefits. In Guatemala, almost 5 million persons work in the informal economy with a higher prevalence of indigenous population in rural areas and a low rate of female labor market insertion, since only 41.5% of women are employed. And more than 50% of the country's labor force is concentrated in agriculture and commerce. But these sectors are also the ones that generate the lowest incomes. Second, I would like to mention those measures that help and encourage countries to ensure fair wages. Decent work also means ensuring that workers had paid decent wages. And for this reason, as the beginning of this year in Guatemala, the daily and monthly minimum wages were increased throughout the country and across all different sectors. And finally, third, I joined my colleague from Luxembourg in highlighting the importance of those measures of preventing exploitative working conditions. And I would like to mention the Alliance 8.7 for a world free of forced labor, modern slavery, human trafficking, and child labor. An initiative that promotes multi-stakeholder collaboration to help governments achieve Target 8.7 of the 2030 Agenda. And this initiative does so by promoting accelerated action, research, data collection, and knowledge sharing on prevalence and what works, and driving innovation and leveraging resources. I thank you.
Muchísimas gracias. Thank you, Ambassador. Our next speaker is Ms. Laura Thompson, who serves as Assistant Director General for External and Corporate Relations at the International Labour Organization, ILO. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. Well, as you all know, the mandate of the ILO is about promoting decent work and advancing social justice, and I thank the ambassadors of Luxembourg and Guatemala for the references to several of the core issues that ILO is tackling, like, for example, child labor, decent work, Initiative 8.7. So a number of the things that you have heard, I could have said them too. To promote decent work, social justice, and advance social development, the ILO basically brings together three tripartite constituents: the governments, workers, and employers' organizations. And these constituents feel that this summit, the social summit, is fundamental for them. And as a result of that, there has been an effort to try to bring, to get together and bring some key messages to what they consider that is fundamental for all of you governments to come about at the end of this summer. And they want really to provide this leadership and support to the member states in navigating the global trends that exist today, such as climate change, pandemics, increasing inequalities, but with a human-centered approach. And that is fundamental in our perspective. These messages have made a number of recommendations to address the complexities of our time, and they look both at the opportunities that these changes bring, but also to the challenges that are arising from current structural changes. So would you wanted concrete examples? Let me move there. And I will want to raise examples on three areas. Climate change is the first one. The tripartite constituents have developed the concept of just transitions, and you talked, Ambassador, about that, towards a low-carbon economy, which is being implemented already in a number of countries. This social component of climate policies and programs is indispensable, not only really to advance social development, but also to gain the people's support for the transition. And we see very often in the news that this is what we are missing. So the ILO is promoting transitions that are green, but also socially just. And concrete examples of that, what that means is transitions that provide also social protection for workers that are displaced, reskilling opportunities for workers that in order to be able to find new jobs, etc. Another example is the impact on technological innovation on the world of work. A few months ago, the ILO established an observatory on artificial intelligence and work in the digital economy to monitor the impact of artificial intelligence and other technological innovations on labor market and try to support member states in their response. This observatory is expected to play an important role in advancing social development objectives at the national level and could also be an important component or relevant for the follow-up of the summit. Let me move to something that I know is very dear for a lot of countries, particularly countries from the south, that is universal social protection. This is a long-standing objective of the ILO and really a commitment that was made in Copenhagen in 1995, and we are still not there. The progress made in terms of extending the coverage has been very welcome, as according to our most recent data, the percentage of the world population covered by at least one social protection cash benefit increased from 42.8 to 52.8. So basically a 10% increase, which is very good between 2015 and 2023. This is very positive, but clearly not enough. We still have 47% of the world population that has no access to any kind of social protection. And obviously, that percentage is much higher in certain of the countries that are more affected by climate change and other things. So we really hope that this summit will provide the leadership and the clear commitments that are required to accelerate progress on social protection. We have done some research on it, and we think that an increase in social protection coverage of minimum 2% points per annum is both feasible and realistic based on the performance of 42 countries that represent basically 51% of the global population between 2015 and 2023. So we can get there, and let's try to get there. Let me conclude by highlighting that realizing the ambitions of the summit will require the contribution of many actors. While governments obviously are going to be in the driving seat and make the progress towards social development objectives, the role of non-state actors is going to be also of high relevance. The recently created Global Coalition for Social Justice is a multi-stakeholder initiative that brings together more than 330 partners, including governments, international organizations, workers and employers organizations, private sector, civil society, and academia. And we hope that this Global Coalition for Social Justice can support initiatives, can support the outcome of the summit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Assistant Director General. We will now turn to Dr. Sharifa El Ahmadi, who serves as Executive Director of the Doha International Family Institute. And Dr. El Ahmadi, last year you in the Institute did a conference, international conference on Family 30+. What kind of key recommendations came out of that conference that are relevant for shaping political duration and the summit?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thank the Permanent Mission of the State of Qatar for this, their kind invitation to this important panel. Family, a six-letter word that holds societies on its shoulders. So recognizing the significance of the family within all aspects of life, the Doha International Family Institute has strived to promote a familyist ideology, which is an ideology based on nurturing families, recognizing the significance of the family unit within society, and advocating for family-friendly policies in relation to all policies and programs. Therefore, underscoring the importance of taking the entire family unit into consideration when moving toward cohesive, stable societies. The outcome of our 2024 Global Conference commemorating the 30th anniversary of the International Year of the Family underscored the pressing challenges facing families globally and the imperative from comprehensive policy responses that prioritize family well-being through family-friendly and family-oriented policies. Poverty is a universal issue with wide-reaching effect on families and societies' well-being. Families' livelihoods are affected. Children are forced out of schools to assume the premature role of providers, and older face challenges to accessing quality healthcare due to financial constraints. This dynamic requires adopting family-sensitive social welfare frameworks to ensure no one is left behind. A strong, cohesive families contribute to economic stability and social well-being. Family play a crucial role in nurturing and educating members, fostering values of hard work, responsibility, and mutual support. These values translate into a more productive and motivated workforce, which is essential for achieving inclusive and sustainable economic growth. It also promotes a fruitful environment for child well-being and development. Since 1960, fertility rate worldwide has decreased by about 50% from 5 to 2.5 births per woman. Implementing policies that promote work-life balance, providing flexible working arrangement, and acknowledging unpaid care can support family formation and fertility. Family-centered policies can effectively address these challenges faced by individuals and society as a whole. In closing, by prioritizing the family as a unit rather than targeting specific demographics like women or children, policies can ensure that the well-being of all family members is protected and enhanced, which in turn is key to promoting social development. It all begins and ends with that 6-letter word. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. El Amadi. Our next speaker is Ms. Anousheh Karvar, France delegate to the ILO's governing body and G7, G20 Sherpa for social issues. Madame Karvar, s'il vous plaît.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me to speak at this event organized by the very state that will be the second social summit host in November 2025, the government of Qatar. As a former chair of Alliance 8.7, I would also like to sincerely thank the previous speakers for the reference to the achievement of Target 8.7 of the SDGs as a major goal to attain social justice. As you've already mentioned, many challenges remain. I will focus on one: inequalities. The 2022 report on global inequalities, coordinated by a panel of French and US economists, offers a unique analysis of global inequalities. This work strongly demonstrates that the extreme inequalities present in many of our societies are the result of political choices and are not a matter of fate. Global income inequalities are stark. In 2021, the top 10% of the world's population captured 52% of global income, while the poorest half earned just 8%. Although inequalities between countries have decreased, inequalities within countries have significantly increased. As a matter of fact, inequalities within countries now account for a larger share of global inequalities than those between countries, 68% versus 32% in 2020. From the point of view of an ILO member state and part of its government, France considers the ILO can really help to tackle these challenges related to inequalities. Because of its mandate, its mission, and its tripartite nature, the ILO is a reference agency for promoting social justice, protecting social rights, and fostering productive employment internationally. ILO can play a leading role in preparing and organizing the social summit in Doha. The ILO's contribution to pave the way for social inclusion and reducing inequalities is essential for several reasons. I will just highlight two here. First, expanding the discussions on the summit's preparation to include all stakeholders. Given that this is a summit focused on social issues, it is crucial that all stakeholders, particularly social partners, contribute to the negotiations. The ILO very nature is based on social dialogue and tripartism. Furthermore, the ILO is a guardian of international labor standards. These standards protect workers' fundamental rights while supporting sustainable development. They address the regulatory needs in the world of work, provided that they are fully implemented by states. They also ensure a level playing field for companies, preventing social dumping while preserving human rights and social justice. However, the ILO's action can only fully bear fruit if they are part of a stronger multilateral framework. To achieve this better coherence is needed between the actions of international financial institutions, economic funds and programs, and the inequality reduction agenda championed by UN organizations focused on social and environmental development. It is crucial to embed social issues at the heart of multilateral agenda because, as the preamble of the ILO's constitutions has affirmed since 1919, universal and lasting peace can only be achieved through social justice. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup. Unfortunately, we dove too deep, and now we don't have the air for questions. We will very briefly wrap up. Give me 70 seconds to offer my summary of the last hour, and then I'll give the floor to His Excellency Fahd Mohammed El Kharain for very short closing remarks. So I obviously can't summarize everything, but I found 5 I's, like the I, like the letter I, that are relevant for the entire discussion. First I is integral part. Social development can't be an afterthought. That's what the Undersecretary General said to development. It has to be an integral part of development. Integration. We have to go beyond silos. We have to think about the whole of government approach. You have to think about how the different parts of the governmental level, of the national level, but also international discussions that we're having at the Financing for Development Conference, at different fora. The issues on social development are so integral. We call it on climate change, with Ms. Thompson just brought up, right? All these different aspects, you have to integrate them, and that is one of the key issues about how to move this forward. The next was international cooperation. At a time where there's a lot of threats, a lot of people withdraw from international cooperation, we have to understand and stress how important it is that international cooperation and the work of the UN entities, ILO and others, is a central part of global efforts to promote sustainable social development. Inclusiveness, my 4th I. both the process of getting there, and we heard from our colleague from Belgium that the process is intended to be very inclusive, many stakeholders, many parts, but also the social development itself needs to be inclusive. Social exclusion and we heard intersectionality by several speakers is very key to understand, to really make a dent into it, understanding the differences of different groups. My last I is what I said at the beginning, impact. We can't have just another political declaration that says poverty is bad, we should have decent jobs for everybody. We need to have something that is actionable and something that's accountable, and that we really push the envelope and don't and really have an impact. So thank you, and now again it is my pleasure to give the floor for the last words of this panel to His Excellency Fayed Mohammed El Kharain, Assistant Secretary for Social Development Affairs in Qatar.
شكرا دانيال. يسعدني أن أختتم هذا الحدث الجانبي رفيع المستوى ونغتنم هذه الفرصة لنعرب عن خالص امتناننا لسعادة السفيرة عليا بنت أحمد بن سيف الثاني المندوب الدائم لدولة قطر لدى الأمم المتحدة على دورها القيم في عقد هذا الحدث الجانبي. كما نود أن نعرب عن تقديرنا لجميع المتحدثين رفيعي المستوى والمشاركين والدول الأعضاء والمنظمات الدولية على مساهمتهم القيمة خلال هذا الحدث. ولا يفوتنا أن نعرب عن الامتنان للبروفيسور دانيال ناكوس على جهوده الممتازة في تسيير الحدث الجانبي، وشكرا جميعا. شكرا.